Iridescent paints on the gel plate make pure magic. Today, I'm going to spend some time falling in love with what happens when I mix some solid colors with some iridescence on a gel plate. This is so fun that I bet you'll pull out your gel plate before the video is even over. Join me and discover new ways to make your gel print sparkle. I'm Jackie Bernardi, and welcome to my studio. I have been looking forward to doing this video for quite a while now. I have several iridescent paints that I've been really waiting to work with on the gel plate specifically, and I decided this week was the week for it, and I'm so happy I did. Now, in this video, I'm using Nova Color paints. They're acrylic iridescent paints. I love Nova paints, but what I'm doing today on the gel plate, you could use any brand of acrylic iridescent paint. But I love Nova. It's a very small company. They manufacture their own paints right here in California, and I just love them. So I'm going to jump in with a bunch of different colors. I picked the colors randomly. I actually have two of their pearlescent and iridescent bundles, and that's where I got these paints from. But what I want to show you here is how iridescent paints work. And so right out of the pot, like this copper paint looks like copper, but when you thin it out, it starts to get a very translucent quality. And as it dries, it completely changes the color. It changes the color that you see on the surface and also make what is below it look different, which is very cool. The best way for me to show this to you is just to actually start gel printing with it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I took my 12-inch by 12-inch gel plate, and I just put a stencil down on top of it. All the supplies for this video will be listed in the description, so you can find it there. But this is just one of the mid-century stencils that I recently got from Joggles. And I put it down. What I'm doing is I'm taking this copper iridescent, it may be called copper pearl, but I'm taking this iridescent color and rolling it on incredibly thin. The beautiful thing about iridescence is you don't need to go really thick with the paint to get the effect that you want. So I just put a super light layer of the paint down on the gel plate. And now I'm just going through with the bottom part of this plate and just making some marks. But I'm going to let this dry just for a moment, and then I'm going to put down another stencil on top of the first one. So I'm just going to layer up the stencil, and this time, instead of using iridescent right away, I'm going to go in with this cerulean blue. It's a fluid acrylic from Golden Artist Colors, and some Liquitex black, just plain black acrylic paint. And I'm mixing that into a really, really deep, deep blue. It almost looks black here on the screen, but it's a very deep blue. And I'm just rolling right over the stencil and right over the layer of iridescent that was on the bottom, that copper iridescent. And as I peel away the stencil, you can see some of that copper iridescent down below. And as the gel plate dried, I thought, well, why don't I go on with another layer and see what happens? And at this point, I wasn't entirely sure what would happen with the gel plate. As we all know, with a gel plate, the paint you put down first is the paint that comes up last, meaning when you're looking at your final pull, the very first layer of paint that you put down is the paint that you'll see on top of your print. And with iridescence, I wasn't quite sure what would happen with multiple layers of iridescence mixed with solid colored paints because of that reverse layering. I thought, well, maybe this green iridescent would get lost in the mix, and we'll see what happens with it. But right now, I'm thinking that this whole plate is looking pretty cool. This is just a play day for me. I don't have a set intention outcome other than to explore what the iridescence will do on the plate. And, uh, and they're just going to be added to my collage stash. So someday I know that this pull will be the perfect piece for something, right? I just trust that that's true. So I put down some titanium white fluid acrylic, and this I'm just putting down to just get the paint wet enough so that I can pull it. The paper that I'm using today is the Bienfang drawing paper, and I've decided that I love this paper. Um, I wouldn't ordinarily do it just for use it for just day to day gel printing, just because it is somewhat expensive for that kind of use. But today, I think is very special because we're making sparkly, and I think sparkly deserves the good paper. So I'm just going to let this set for a while and then come back to pull it. Now, what you've seen me do here is what I've heard called crack the edges, right? Because there you get so much paint built up on the edges of your gel plate, and if you don't try to separate the sides from the gel plate before you start pulling the whole print, you actually risk tearing the paper, and we don't want that. Even with good quality paper, that can happen. So I'm starting to I'm starting to do this pull, and I can't even believe what I'm seeing. Oh my gosh. Um, this is wild. I can't believe this is my first print of the day. Oh my goodness. All right, it is really stuck to this plate. I mean, that was hard to get off, but take a look at this. And here's the thing with iridescence. When you look at iridescence at any given angle, it will look completely different. So looking at it straight down, it looked kind of flat, but as soon as I started lifting it and moving it around, you got all these really gorgeous nuanced colors. You can see the copper in there for sure, but you can see the blue from that solid color. You can see some of that green iridescent and the violet iridescent, and the stacking of the stencils made this super cool. Alright, maybe I won't tear this one up. I don't know. I love it. That was really exciting. And so what I wanna do is try different techniques with the iridescence on the gel plate today. I don't wanna do all of the same thing. I wanna explore, I wanna experiment, and I wanna see the things that I'm attracted to that later on I could spend a whole day doing. Like that first one that I just did, I could probably do a whole day of pulling prints like that. But for today, for this video, I'm just going to experiment and explore a bunch of different things. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking some of Nova's Super Pearl Gold. And if you've watched pretty much any of my videos before, you know how much I love this color. It is not technically iridescent, but it behaves like an iridescent, and it's just gorgeous. So I took a silicone paint shaper and moved that around the plate, and now I'm going over the plate with some of that violet iridescent with a palette knife, and then just rolling it out. And the reason why I use those 2 tools to put down the paint instead of just brayering them on initially is because I did not want even coverage. I didn't want 100% coverage with either one of those paints. And I'm putting this stencil, back down. I really like this stencil, actually. Again, it's from Joggles, and it will be listed in the description. And I'm using some medical exam table paper here to pull out the negative areas of the stencil and the paint. Now, I could use any type of paper that I want for this, but the reason why I'm using the medical exam paper is what I'm pulling up are just little bits, little tiny shapes of that iridescent, the mix of the two iridescents. And you can see that right here on the paper. And this will be fabulous to use in collage later as a transparent paper. And if you watched my video on creating transparency for collage, you know that medical exam paper is the way to go. I'll link to that video. If you haven't seen it, you really should see it. It will change the way you create art. But that was a great use for using medical exam paper for little scraps of paint like that, that later on will be perfection in a collage. So I did that. I rolled it out a little bit. I pulled up the stencil, and now I'm going to go back in with a mix. Now, this really was a test. This was a mix of the green iridescent mixed with plain black acrylic paint. Now, normally people will tell you not to do this because you won't see the iridescent, and you can see here that you cannot see the iridescent green. But I'm holding out hope that something really fun is going to happen when I pull the print. So again, experimenting, yeah. I mean, common wisdom will tell you that the green won't show at all. I'm just really hoping it will. So keep your fingers crossed. I'm using this here is actually a piece of the mineral paper, and I just painted it all black on the one side and hot pink on the other side, but we're just doing the print on the black side. And I'm going to go let that set for quite a while. The mineral paper is great on a gel plate, but it does take a very long time for the paint to dry. So just know that if you're going to use mineral paper. Now here I am just rolling out what was left on the brayer from um, that last gel plate that we were working on, and I put down this snakeskin stencil. Now, I know you all are gonna ask me for the snakeskin stencil, and I have really bad news about this particular one. I bought this on Etsy years ago. The shop that sold it no longer has it, but snakeskin stencils you can find anywhere. You can find them on Amazon, you can find them anywhere. So, go ahead and grab one. But what I did was I put the stencil on the gel plate super gently, and then I used some more of the medical exam paper to pull up some of the paint, but I didn't want a perfect registration of the stencil. I just wanted to get some of that texture in different places. And so that's how I did that. And now I went over that with transparent red oxide fluid acrylic. That's that really hot orange that you're seeing. And then some black Liquitex acrylic, and then rolled it out. I didn't roll it out all perfectly. I didn't want perfect coverage. Uh, I just wanted a really textural type pull. So, and it looks like I'm going to love the colors. I'm just cleaning up the edges here that are on the gel plate, but not covered by the actual piece of paper. And again, these are brilliant little pieces of paper to have to use in collage. So don't get rid of your little scraps. Oh, wow. I can see the green coming in from that. Remember the leftover paint that was on the brayer and we just rolled it out and it barely looked like anything was on the plate? Look at this. It's wild. It's so cool. Looking at it straight down, it looks just like really textured painted paper, but when you start moving it around, you get hints of that green, and it's like an illusion. I love that. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Uh, I couldn't see right now what color that was when I put it down. I'm going to guess that it was the violet, but I was just tapping it out with a palette knife. Again, not for full coverage. I want I want texture. I want to explore texture with the iridescence and the solid color paints. And I just feel like I have better control of keeping it loose, if that makes sense, when I use the palette knife first to put the paint down. And then really I'm just skip rolling the brayer over it. I don't want to blend it out. I do want these different patterns. Uh, and again, I do not want 100% coverage. Now here you can see a little bit of the green showing up on top of the black. That's so cool. And this time I'm using a different stencil. This is mm, I'm going to say a leopard print stencil. Again, I got this at that same shop on Etsy. Apologies, but you can find this type of a print in pretty much any stencil shop online. And I'm doing the same technique. I'm going in with the medical exam paper and I'm just pulling up some of the paint that's underneath it. Look at that. How cool is that going to be when I use that? Those little bits in a stencil later. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to do a follow-up video to this where I actually use all these papers in collage or in paintings. So I'm going to keep doing this. I do not want 100% animal print on this gel print that I'm going to pull. I don't want the pattern everywhere. But I'm also not confident at this point that the pull is going to capture all of that animal print. So we'll see. Uh, we'll see where that goes. This is some of the cerulean blue fluid acrylic mixed with that black Liquitex paint again. And I just want a really dark blue. That's gorgeous. Ugh, I love that. And I wanted to try this time putting the texture layer of solid paint on as thin as I can, just barely covering the iridescent so I can see what who the star of the show is going to be actually. um, I don't think we need to cover everything perfectly with every single layer, and I'm having fun with this, so I think I'm happy with it. This I can already tell I'm going to be madly in love with. As soon as I started putting that super pearl golds down, oh my god, the colors started just literally doing magic in front of my eyes. It's a little hard to capture it on camera, but when I do the pull, you will see it as I move the paper around. But even straight down as I was rolling out the paint, I could see what was happening as soon as I put that Super Pearl Gold down. Then I'm going back in with another layer of texture using the same animal print, but this time on top of the Super Pearl Gold and just pulling up whatever I can. Mm. This gel plate that I'm using right now is my giant gel plate. It is a 16-inch by 20-inch. And, what I most love about the plate is using it for smaller pieces of paper. So I can use the one plate as both palette and surface to pull prints on. And so that's why I love this plate so much. It's very rare when I do full 16 by 20 prints, um, because I end up tearing everything up. So I don't want to use paper that's precious on that. I went over it with some more of that black and blue, paint, but really there's very little blue left, so it looks primarily black. We'll see what happens when we pull the print, but since I had that little blotch on the side there of the rolled out paint, I thought, "Okay, well, let's just grab a quick print," and there you go, little stencil print. Actually, I'll get 2 of them. There's the ghost. I just can't stop myself when I get going with a gel plate. I really can't. And the fact that I was able to do this in 1 day is actually, well, actually 2 days I did this in, pretty remarkable because I could have kept going for weeks. And I'm just trying to get every bit of the paint off the side here, not really to keep the gel plate clean, just because as I pull more and more layers, I'm getting cooler and cooler pulls, even just on that weird side that is unintentional. Now I'm pulling back up the piece of mineral paper that we went dark, I mean, really dark on the gel plate. And look at this. Well, ignore the plate for 1 second, but look at this. Right, I had a problem with the camera here, the top-down camera. It overheated, so you didn't get to see the top-down of that print right now, but you will in a little bit, and let me tell you, it turned out gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright, here's the big one with all the colors and all the animal print, and I wanna crack the edges. And then start oh, yeah, see, I just pulled it a little bit right there, but I caught it, so the whole thing isn't tearing. And the suction on this is incredible, like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Oh my gosh. This is wild to me. It looks almost like brocade. Um, so what I am stunned by on this is, if you recall, we actually used quite a bit of iridescent paint in building up the layers for this, but the the sparkle and the shine and the magic of the iridescent is so subtle here, but it completely lifts the stencil prints and so oh my god, I love that. We'll get a closer and longer look at it in a bit, but I just wanted to pull this print here. This one was what I did uh, with that really dark leftover paint that was left after pulling the mineral paper print. And so I just went back in and all I did was put down some white um, titanium white fluid acrylic and then pulled it, and I have to say this is one of my favorite prints of the day, and this was just an accidental print. If you look at it, all right, it's got white, it's got these dark undulating things, and then the iridescent picks up a little bit of the shape of the stencil, and as you move it around, you see the pink and the excuse me, the lilac and the blue and the gold. This is stunning. I love this piece of paper. I hope you're enjoying this piece of paper too. Um, yeah. So let's take a look at all the rest of them now, and I'll try to get as close up and personal as I can with them. This was the very highly textured one with that super hot uh, red oxide transparent and black, and I used some of the green iridescent. Love that. Here is the uh, that really dark black one that's on the piece of um, mineral paper. This is like New Orleans to me. It's got the dark green and the purple and the black, and it's mysterious, and I love it. And here is the animal print, and I have got to say, I am in love with this. I mean, you can see some of the animal print texture, but mostly throughout this print, it just reads as texture, like this gorgeous, ah, it it feels like it's not even paper. It feels like it's some kind of cloth. But here is my favorite pull of the day. It was the very first one, and I actually can't believe that's the one that turned out to be my favorite. This has, to me, so much visual interest and so many different colors and so many different highlights. It just reads perfect to me, and very frankly, is making me super happy. Um, I mean, picking any one of these prints is like trying to pick your favorite child, you just don't do it. But for an experimental day, I am thrilled to death with the way that all of these turned out, and every single one of them I can use in something, and I will have to find something to use it in. If you've enjoyed this video, please come back next week. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button for this video. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can also grab my absolutely free gel printing video course at the link in the description. So go ahead and grab it and be a part of my community. Take care.